A picture is worth 1,000 words, the old saying goes. Much of how you think takes place in words, yet the most profoundly motivational thinking you do takes place in pictures, not words. If an idea occurs to you, it's usually in the form of a picture or something happening, rather than as a sentence that runs through your head. Pictures are an immediate and powerful way of thinking. Your mind's image-making ability takes place at a far older, deeper level than its language-making. Human language-making developed relatively recently. Pictures and images have a direct, basic, elemental appeal to your emotions and feelings, while words have only an indirect appeal. Words must first be translated into pictures before the deepest levels of your mind will accept them and be changed by them. You must learn, therefore, to discipline your thoughts and visualize the things you want, the wholesome characteristics you wish to acquire. Suppose, for example, that forcefulness was a characteristic you felt a need for. Do not content yourself with saying, "I must be more forceful." Rather, imagine how you would look if you were more forceful. What would be the expression on your face? What would be the attitude of your body? You can train yourself to act and react with good, wholesome, honest, and healthy visual images to any situation, person, or circumstance you encounter. By visualizing the good in another person in real, tangible ways, you can guarantee that you will experience it. By envisioning, in your mind's eye, the positive outcome of a situation, you can move it along toward reality. Recognize this truth. With every adversity, failure, defeat, sorrow, or unpleasant circumstance, either of your own or someone else's making, you have the opportunity to react positively. Seek, and ye shall find. You can recognize the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit, a seed that will grow into the actual greater benefit or blessing, if helped along by your visualization of its happening. One way to aid the developing of a positive mental attitude in the face of adversity is to realize what is done is done. You cannot change the past, but you can affect what happens in the present and the future. Say to yourself, whatever happened, happened for the best, and that's good. Then set to work to figure out what good can result from the experience. In every adversity, it can be hard to believe at times that underneath bad news is good news, but many of today's most successful people have learned this lesson very well. Chuck Yeager was a fighter pilot over occupied France in World War II when his plane was shot down. He single-handedly escaped German patrols and dragged his navigator over the mountains to Spain, where they finally found safety. The Army Air Corps was ready to send him home after that, but Yeager refused to go. Without realizing it, he says, I was about to take charge of my life. If I had submitted to being sent home, I doubt whether the Army Air Corps would have been interested in retaining my services after the war ended. Instead, Yeager became the first pilot to fly faster than the speed of sound. Close your mental doors behind you on unpleasant circumstances or failures, letdowns, or negative feelings. Learn to let your dissatisfaction with anything inspire you. Inspirational dissatisfaction is that divine discontent that throughout the history of man has produced all real progress and reform. Inspirational dissatisfaction is conducive to self-inspiration to action. It motivates you to learn from defeat, to turn disadvantages into advantages, and to work harder to reach your goals, regardless of the obstacles you meet. Take, for example, the true case history of the boy who almost flunked in every grade in grammar school. As a teenager, he was lucky to be passed through high school. Then, as a freshman at the state university, he flunked out in the very first semester. Now that was good, for then something happened to develop inspirational dissatisfaction within him. He knew he had the ability to succeed, and on reflection he realized that it was necessary to work hard to make up for lost time. With this new positive mental attitude, he entered a junior college. He worked hard, he kept trying, and on graduation day he received the honor of being second highest in his class. No, he didn't stop there. He applied for admission to one of the nation's leading universities, where scholastic standards are exceedingly high, and admission is most difficult to obtain. Because of his positive mental attitude and his record of achievement in junior college, he was admitted. And there, too, he developed an enviable record as an outstanding student. For every adversity carries with it a seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. Keep your mind focused on the things you want to achieve or stand for in life. Use your brain for controlled, optimistic thinking. Take possession of your mind and direct it to images of your choosing. Do not let circumstances or people dictate negative visual images. Remember, yesterday is gone forever. Tomorrow may never come. Only today is yours to live in. Learn by doing. Keep your mind on the things you want and off the things you don't want. Thinking in visual terms rather than words is sometimes difficult. This exercise will help you begin the training to form and keep visual images. If you are listening to this program while driving, please skip this exercise and return to it when you are in an environment where it is safe to write. Make a list of 3 things you want. 1 should be a wholesome characteristic you wish to acquire. 1 should be an improved relationship with someone close to you. And 1 should be some material possession you would like to have. Be specific. Characteristic, relationship, possession. Consider each of these. Think of a way to show them visually. Look through old magazines or newspapers for pictures that will symbolize for you the mental image you have made. Use your own richly creative imagination to complete this exercise. The following suggestions are just meant as primers. Suppose generosity was the characteristic you chose, for example. Then you might look for a picture of someone with an open, outstretched hand. If you want to improve some special relationship with more quality time together, you might look for a picture of a clock. And if the personal possession you wanted was a Mercedes-Benz, look for an ad featuring that car and cut out the picture of it. Put these pictures where you will see them every day. Use them as visual cues to help your mind form the mental image of the characteristic, the improved relationship, and the possession. And then believe that you're going to get what you want. Self-test. Answer the following questions honestly. Number 1. Your job as a sales rep takes you into a territory where all your customers had a bad experience with your predecessor and are reluctant to do business with your company. How do you respond? A. Act as if nothing was wrong before. B. Find out specifically what went wrong with each customer. Then write a detailed report to your supervisor about all the problems you've been saddled with so that it is clear you have been placed in a bad situation. C. Find out specifically what went wrong for each customer, then use this knowledge to make sure that things flow smoothly and that your customers know you're dedicated to keeping it that way. 2. Your son has an accident with the car that will cost thousands of dollars to repair. How do you react? A. Sigh, teenagers, thank goodness for insurance. B. Forbid him to drive again and tell him that for his irresponsibility he is grounded for the next 6 months. C. Tell him that it is his responsibility to get a job to pay for the repairs, and that as soon as he has done so, he can use the car again. 3. You are involved in a civic organization that is trying to raise money for a local charity by sponsoring a flea market. 2 weeks before the event, you have had few donations of merchandise. What do? A. Hope for the best. B. Call the charity and tell them not to expect much money. Call the other members of the organization and predict disappointment so they get used to the idea. C. Call your list of potential donors and remind them that they will be doing great things for the community. Ask if you can make things easier by picking up donations, and when you can drop by to do so. Number 4. Your doctor tells you that you have borderline high blood pressure. You can begin to take medication for it, or you can make changes in your lifestyle that should bring it down. How do you respond? A. Ignore his advice. B. Take the medication, since all that advice about what to eat and do changes all the time anyway, and you hate being on some kind of program and know that you would never stick with it. C. Start exercising. Begin eating more healthy foods and use meditation and visualization to decrease stress in your life and concentrate on being a healthier, less stressed person. Once again, A responses represent bad moves. A B response demonstrates resignation to a negative outcome. And a C response indicates that you are acting with a PMA, concentrating on making a bad situation good. For instance, in the first example, by showing your customers that you are dedicated to serving them well, you not only overcome their dislike of your predecessor, you make yourself valuable to them, and thus to your company. In the second example, by giving your son an opportunity to make amends, you teach him a lesson about responsibility at work and show him that if he makes a mistake, he can overcome it. A good example of a PMA lesson shared. In question 3, you concentrate on the benefit of the project, and you draw others into creating that benefit. People like to be given the opportunity to help others, and not only will they respect you for making it possible for them, they will see that you are an action-oriented person. And in question 4, by taking responsibility for your health, you are addressing the causes of your problem, not simply papering them over. Even if the steps you take prove insufficient to avoid the need for medication, you have still improved your situation. PMA focuses your mind on positive solutions, and when you train yourself to find them, doing so becomes a valuable habit. Bonus thought. Using the power of visualization to keep your mind off what you don't want is just as easy. Earlier I said, close your mental doors behind you on unpleasant circumstances or failures you have experienced in the past. Use this as a visual trigger to form an image. Imagine yourself in a long corridor in the midst of your brain. Opening under this hallway are many doors, and one of them is labeled defeats and failures. Now picture yourself walking purposefully toward that door while taking a huge key out of your pocket. Firmly and decisively close that door and lock it. Pocket the key with a smile. Anytime you feel a shadow of old negative thoughts stealing upon you, say to yourself, I have the key in my pocket. I have locked that thought up. And smile, because you know it's true. Here are some words from the wise on remembering to keep your mind on what you want. He did it with all his heart and prospered. 2 Chronicles 31:21. Let us go singing as far as we go. The road will be less tedious. Virgil. This one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before. Philippians 3:13. The thing always happens that you really believe in, and the belief in a thing makes it happen. Frank Lloyd Wright. To be happy, drop the words, if only, and substitute instead the words, next time. Smiley Blanton. Act as if it were impossible to fail. Dorothea Brand. Chapter 4. Step 3. Live the Golden Rule.
A keen sense of justice. In other words, being just with another person even when it's to your disadvantage to do so. What a wonderful thing that is, and how that does endear you to other people when they know very well that your being just with them is costing you something. Do it. There's no particular virtue in being just with the other fellow when you're benefiting by it. And do you have any idea how many people there are that are just fair and just and honest only when they know it's going to come back to them in one way or another? How quickly they'd be dishonest if it was profitable to them to do it? Well, I wouldn't give you the percentage. I'd hate to tell you what I think it is. But it's much too high. People who are like that. Keen sense of justice toward all people at all times.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Conversely, do not do unto others what you would not have them do unto you. This familiar and seemingly simple step has tremendous merit. Sometimes living the golden rule means you must stand up for others, be their guardian, protector, and advocate. Martin Niemöller, a Protestant leader of resistance to Nazi tyranny, knew that truth. Speaking to post-war audiences, Niemöller would say, "The Nazis came for the communists, and I didn't speak up because I was not a communist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak up because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak up because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I was a Protestant, so I didn't speak up. Then they came for me." By that time, there was no one to speak up for anyone. Yes, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Consistently look for the good in everyone and in every circumstance. In dealings with your family, friends, and business associates, be a good finder, not a fault finder. Give help, praise, and encouragement instead of criticism, blame, or revenge. Walk the extra mile to help someone. The PMA concept is that the little difference that makes the big difference as to whether a person is happy, unhappy, or miserable is whether his attitude toward himself and others is positive or negative. For example, the surest way to find happiness for yourself is to devote your thoughts, energies, and activities toward making others happy in little things, daily. You can make yourself unhappy or miserable by thinking only in terms of yourself and not the reactions of others to what you do, or don't do, say, or don't say. Lloyd C. Douglas's book, The Magnificent Obsession, points out that when you bring happiness to someone else, it will return to you many times over if you do it without boastfulness or looking for personal rewards. Big Jim Daniel knows the power of being happy. Before he arrived in 1976 at RMI, a producer of titanium, the company was in deep trouble. Since then, as the new president, Mr. Daniel has turned things around. How did he do it? Not with computers, not with consultants, not with MBAs, but with a positive mental attitude. Big Jim learned the names of all 700 employees at RMI. When you meet a man without a smile, give him one of yours, reads the sign hanging on the wall. Big Jim is giving out smiles all the time as he cruises the plant floor in his electric cart, joking with workers. Believe it or not, for a big dumb football player, he was captain of the Cleveland Browns in 1945, I have a philosophy. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, he says. Mr. Daniel's philosophy works. RMI sales are up. Productivity is up. Morale is up. And Mr. Daniel is a happy man. Share a portion of what you have. In sharing with others, you give away a portion of yourself. But that which remains with you multiplies and grows. At the same time, you are challenging others to a higher, more creative way of life. By helping others, you have in turn helped yourself. And together, you have set in motion a chain reaction of goodwill and PMA. Learn by doing. Live the golden rule. Think of 3 things you would like people to do for you. Now turn them around. How can you do each of them for another? Use step number 2 as an aid in this. Form an image of what you actually see happening in your mind's eye. If it will help, find a symbolic picture that will help you visualize what you're going to do. Now, go and do it. When you get a little, give a little. Time and again, successful people have shared their success with other individuals and their communities. It wins them respect, cooperation, and personal satisfaction. Bill Cosby is one of the most powerful and popular entertainers in the world. He makes it his business to meet with other aspiring entertainers and give them career advice and encouragement that he knows they will need as they struggle to build a career. Self-test. Consider the following questions. Number 1. 3 days ago, you gave your associate all the data you had collected and analyzed for an important report due tomorrow. Today you learned that he has made little progress in preparing it. How do you respond? A. Say nothing so as to avoid putting any pressure on him. B. Prepare a memo to him and your boss outlining the fact that you fulfilled your responsibilities on time and making it clear that any failure to have the report ready does not lie on your shoulders. C. Offer to help complete the report. 2. Your in-laws are getting older and are not able to do all the tasks they once did. How do you respond? A. Stay out of it, since it is none of your business. Nobody likes nosy in-laws. B. Insist that it is time for them to move into a retirement home before they become a burden. C. Offer to run errands for them and help out around the house and yard twice a month while recruiting other family members as well. 3. You're driving on a crowded freeway at high speeds, and another car is tailgating you very closely. How do you react? A. Continue driving as you were. B. Flash your brakes and slow down. Do your best to teach the other driver to show a little courtesy on the road. C. Move aside and let the other car pass. 4. At the service station you patronized for years, a new mechanic is rude to you and treats you as if you know nothing. How do you respond? A. Put up with it and assume that he will eventually be fired. B. Take your business elsewhere. C. Speak to the manager privately and explain you were surprised by the way you were treated, since you have always been happy there. You know by now that an A response is a passive one that defies the action required of a positive mental attitude. The B responses are active, but they almost always heighten tension and prepare other people to think of you as an opponent or a whiner. A C response encourages others to think of you as someone who has always been willing to cooperate, to lend a hand, to do something out of the ordinary. Sometimes you'll find that the PMA you display in living by the golden rule is directed at someone you have never met before and will never see again. You might never see a direct benefit from your actions, but others will, beginning with the people you respond positively to, and continuing with those they respond positively to in turn. By acting with PMA, you add to the general supply of PMA in the entire world, improving every community you work and live in. If you've ever been amazed at the ability of someone you know to get help at the most unlikely times, odds are that person has been living life with PMA. As the scriptures say, as ye sow, so shall ye also reap. Bonus. Think of 3 things you don't want people to do to you. Now turn them around. Here's how. Be generous. When you share with others a part of what you have, that which remains multiplies and grows. Examples. Give a smile to everyone you meet. Smile with your eyes, and you'll smile and receive smiles. Give appreciation, warmth from the heart. You will appreciate and be appreciated. Give honor, credit, and applause. The victor's wreath. You will be honored and receive credit and applause. Give hope, the magic ingredient for success. You will have hope and be made hopeful. Give happiness, a most treasured state of mind. You will have courage and be encouraged. Give a pleasant response, the neutralizer of irritants. You will be pleasant and receive pleasant responses. Some words from the wise on doing unto others. Hatred stirreth up strifes, but love covereth all sins. Proverbs 10:12. We secure our friends not by accepting favors, but by doing them. Thucydides. Example is not the main thing in influencing others. It is the only thing. Albert Schweitzer. Chapter 5. Step 4. Eliminate all negative thoughts by self-inspection.
Form definite habits by which you will learn to express enthusiasm in your ordinary conversations. Practice before a mirror. Talk to yourself if you can't find anybody that's willing to listen to it to start out with. You'll be surprised how interesting it is when you start talking to yourself and say the things you want to hear. Don't say the things you don't want to hear when you're looking at yourself in the glass. You know, I stood before a mirror for years and years and years, and I told myself as the day would come, I said, look here, Napoleon Hill, you admire Arthur Brisbane's style of writing, that clarity, that succinctness, that definiteness, that simplicity of language, you admire that. But Napoleon, you're going to not only catch up with Arthur, but you're going to run rings around him. And ladies and gentlemen, I did just that. By talking to this fellow and convincing him it could be done. It's not foolish to talk to yourself in the mirror. It's not foolish to talk. That is, if nobody's standing on the outside. Be sure to close the bathroom door. Don't leave the door open. Don't leave the door open.
Most people do not realize that they are thinking negatively unless they make a conscious effort to inspect their thoughts, actions, and reactions. The process of self-analysis is simple. Just ask yourself, is this positive or negative? When you fail to take possession of your own mind and direct it to your own choosing by employing the power of visualization, the chances are good your reactions will be negative instead of positive. Notice how living the golden rule is a positive aid to you. Clearly, if you are concerned with doing good to others and avoiding bad, there is little room for negative thoughts to operate. Especially as you are beginning the exciting process of developing a positive mental attitude, however, old habits will assert themselves from time to time. You will find negative thoughts lurking about, ready to slip out the moment you open that door a crack. The following 4 reasons probably cover most of the times that negative thoughts occur to you. 1. You are feeling sorry for yourself and are indulging in self-pity. 2. You are passing judgment or blaming a person, situation, or environment. Alcoholics talk about taking the geographic cure, meaning trying to solve their drinking problem by blaming it on where they live. 3. Your ego has been hurt or deflated. Your pride has been damaged. 4. The most obvious one, but the one most people find hardest to recognize, is that you are being selfish about yourself, someone, or something. The more you practice PMA, the more you will be able to recognize negative thoughts as soon as they occur. But as you begin the great process of incorporating PMA into your life, you will have to rely on more conscious analysis. In most cases, negative thoughts will still be easy to spot because they lead you to consider violating the golden rule with regard to others, or because you will tell yourself something about yourself that you would regard as an insult from another person. If the thought flashes into your mind that you cannot do something, ask yourself what you would think if a stranger on the street walked up and said the same thing to you. Treat such thoughts just as you would such a stranger. Say, you know nothing about what I am capable of doing. You are way out of line to say anything like that. The negative thoughts that appear in your mind are the product of a past you have decided to put behind you. They come from experiences you have decided to overcome, and they have nothing to do with the kind of thinker and doer you are making yourself into. Counter them with an immediate and forceful antidote in the form of a concrete positive thought about yourself or the person or circumstance involved. Learn by doing. Eliminate all negative thoughts by self-inspection. Make a checklist to carry in your pocket or wallet. Call it Parties I Refuse to Attend, and add the following to the list. Again, if you're driving while listening to this program, wait to make your list until it is safe to write. 1. Pity party. You're feeling sorry for yourself. 2. Patsy party. You're looking for someone to blame. 3. Pride party. You're suffering from injured ego. 4. Pig party. You're being selfish. Review this list at the beginning of your day. When negative thoughts surface, take a private moment to ask yourself, what's going on? Look at your list of no thank you parties and see if one of those causes is at work. Then banish it. Self-test. Answer the following questions honestly. 1. Your bid to work for a prestigious and lucrative client is turned down, and the project goes to a rival group. What flashes through your head? A. It just wasn't meant to be. B. I would have won the job if the other firm wasn't so desperate to undercut me. They took the job at a loss just to keep me from getting the work. C. I need to find out what made them go with the other company. This is a chance to identify problem areas and correct them. 2. Your daughter drops out of college to work in a restaurant kitchen. What occurs to you? A. She has never had very much drive. B. She's rebelling and is trying to embarrass me after all the money I spent sending her to college. C. She must not have been happy in college, and I should find out why. 3. You run for election as president of your local community association and are defeated. What thoughts do you have? A. Another lesson learned. I should stop trying to win popularity contests. B. If these people can't see what a good president I'd be, then I shouldn't be wasting my time with them. C. My opponent knows some things I don't know about exciting people's interests. This is someone to learn from. I bet we could make a great team working together. 4. You know you should lose 15 pounds, but try as you might, so far you haven't been successful. What attitude do you take? A. Hey, I could be worse off, at least I haven't gained anything. B. I'm paying too much attention to this fitness craze. I'm never going to lose that weight, and I ought to stop torturing myself. C. I need to find a new approach that I can stay interested in so that I can improve my health. There is an approach to life known as go with the flow that sometimes seems very appealing, since it appears to eliminate worry and stress. But it is often a cover for sending yourself a series of negative messages about who you are and what you can do. The A responses reflect this. They often incorporate a good amount of subtle self-pity along the lines of, I just wasn't born to be a natural leader or athlete, or life has saddled me with many burdens and the best I can do is shuffle on. Instead of blaming circumstance, it is also easy to blame others, because they seem to offer the easiest targets for your self-pity and wounded pride. This is exemplified by the B responses. Of course, taking such an approach never leads to action to resolve the situation and can easily make matters much worse. You must accurately identify the source of adversity to find the hidden benefit inside, and if you ignore this truth, all your troubles will be for nothing. The C responses exemplify exactly this approach. They acknowledge that a problem exists and set about to find out more about it in the conviction that something can be done. This discovery process will often require you to rely once again on your PMA, because you may learn things that you never expected about yourself or your situation. But if you respond to such revelations with the attitude that what you have learned is important and that you will be able to deal with it, you will have reaped one of the greatest benefits of PMA: increased self-understanding and self-confidence. Bonus. Banishing a negative thought is easier than you may think. Remember your step 2 bonus idea? You have the key. Lock that negative thought up where it belongs, in the dungeon. A positive mental attitude puts the power to do that in your hands as well as in your head. Some words from the wise on banishing discouraging thoughts. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalms 139:14. Self-trust is the first secret of success. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Tell yourself in your secret reveries, I was made to handle affairs. Andrew Carnegie. Discouragement is simply the despair of wounded self-love. Francois de Fenelon. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, I lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. You must do the thing you think you cannot do. Eleanor Roosevelt. Chapter 6. Step 5. Be happy. Make others happy.
It's a marvelous thing to see how much more pleasing you can make your facial expression when you try than when you don't try. By smiling a little bit. It's a marvelous thing to learn to smile when you're talking to people. You'll be surprised at how much more effective what you say is when you're smiling than when you're frowning or when you're looking serious. That makes a tremendous difference on the person that's listening. I hate to talk to a person who's got a serious expression on, as if the whole world is on his shoulders. It makes me fidgety. I just wish that whatever he's saying, he'd get through with it and go on. But if he limbers up like Franklin D. Roosevelt used to and gives you that old $1 million smile, why, even the most trivial thing that he says sounds like music, sounds like wisdom, because what he does to you psychologically. That smile is a marvelous thing. Don't grin at people when you don't mean it, because monkeys can grin. That wasn't in my notes. But learn to smile because you feel it. But where does the smile take place first? On your lips or face or where? In your heart, where you feel it. That's where it takes place. You don't have to be pretty, you don't have to be handsome, but a smile, it'll decorate you and embellish you no matter who you are. Make your facial expression much more beautiful.
To be happy, act happy. Just as you can think your way into a new way of acting, so you can act your way into a new thinking. Be enthusiastic. To be enthusiastic, act enthusiastic. Smile at yourself and at the world. You will eventually experience a feeling of inner joy and enthusiasm that will show itself without your having to concentrate on it. People recognize positive people, and they want to be around them. This change in the quality of your life happens when you eliminate negative thoughts and keep your mind on good, wholesome, constructive thoughts, memories, and experiences. And it is easy to maintain a joyous attitude because it is just as easy to think positively as it is to think negatively. If you have to worry, worry positively. In his best-selling Psycho-Cybernetics, Dr. Maxwell Maltz tells readers to worry constructively. He says that worrying is thinking about what could go wrong, and that the antidote to this affliction is to consciously dwell on what could go right.